I wish I didn't care so much, because I think when you care, life is more difficult. Because if you don't care, you just do.
Welcome to the Council of Dudes podcast. I'm your host, Vinny Brusco. I am a father, a husband, the founder of Agora Social Club, a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a certified life coach, and a facilitator of the Council of Dudes men's group. This podcast is here to help you tap into and follow your golden thread, that feeling that pulls you forward to become the best version of yourself. If you're someone who's into personal development and self-help and is looking to live a life of more alignment, then this is the podcast for you. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification button, and follow along on the journey of the show.
Hey, what's going on? This is MYQ Success. That's MYQ Mike Success, and you checking out the Council of Dudes podcast.
And here we go.
I don't have formal introductions. I just kind of go. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
We met through Lewis at his podcast, and then you came here, and we started talking, and you went into this master marketing mindset, and it was so impressive because you started off like kind of just tinkering, like, oh, we're talking, and I started seeing the wheels turn, which to me I think is probably one of my favorite things to experience is when someone's in their flow state. It's like my favorite thing. And I saw the wheels turning, and all of a sudden you were up and you were going, and you were so passionate about the marketing part of it, and you kept on stopping, like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, like you're because we just like met, like we just met, and you kept on catching yourself, like, I was like, no, just have at it, man. It was just such a encouraging thing to see you step into that space. So first off, thanks, because it was cool. I love seeing people in their flow state, man.
Yeah. No, it's like I tell people, like, I start to look up in the sky. It's like my Rain Man thing. I sit there and have, like, as I do that a lot. Sit there and I'll be like, yeah, you should, and then you can do this, and you can, like, I tell people I'm paying attention to you, and I'm just thinking I just have to kind of do that. It's super weird.
Where did that come from? Is that something that you always experienced, or?
I don't know. It's just like, I get passionate about helping people, and this is my world, and the marketing aspect of it. Like, I really feel like I can market anything.
Yeah.
Like, because the reason is there's no cookie cutter thing. Right? There's no, oh, you do this, that, and the third. It's like, all right, I got to listen to Vinny. All right, let me hear. Okay, did you ever think of this? What about this? Okay, what about that? What about this? Oh, John's different situation. Hey, John, oh, let's do it like this, because I think a lot of people don't see people. You understand?
Yeah.
They just tell you, and it's like, my rates, and this is, but we don't even know what's going on yet, and they don't really understand. And I think, especially me being in the creative space, I think just like humans, because I look at everything from a human aspect, people just want to be seen. And once you see them, then you can kind of go. And that's how I approach the business side.
Did you ever read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? I have a copy of it. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
It is that there's a lot of takeaways, and it's a sales book, but it really isn't. It's about human interaction.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest takeaways that I received from that book was that people ultimately want to be seen and heard, right? And if you reverse that to an emotional state, that's unconditional love, right? That's a form of love, is to be seen and heard in a way that's authentically you. So from a marketing aspect, it would make a lot of sense that, yes, we could talk about this, and then there's cookie cutter opportunities, but there's also the human element of it.
Right.
And once you humanize an experience with someone, it becomes a totally different interaction. And I think that that's what we saw, right? In that moment, it was just me seeing this version of you that was just on fire.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's so enthralling to me as a creative individual to see someone else kind of take on that role and just go into their space.
Yeah. And I don't mind, like, a lot of people are so caught up in, oh, well, let me stop because you got to pay me for this. You know what I mean? I get it, but I don't know. Like I said, I work from a human element, and that's a gift and a curse sometimes.
Yeah. Was that something that was cultivated for you as a kid? Like, were you always kind of taught to kind of explore that part of you and have that freedom of expression?
Yeah, well, I think it's funny. As I got older, I realized where I think I got that from as far as the part of being seen, right? So I grew up in an entrepreneur household, right? My grandmother had a bar for 40 years in the South Bronx. My mother was an entrepreneur. My stepfather, like, I just had entrepreneur spirit, right? So when I was 10 years old. My mother had a business. She had separated from her partner, and she was doing it was called advertising specialties, but which we call merch today, right? Mugs, pens, all that type of stuff. And she went on her own, and I named her company. I gave it the slogan, right? And then I got her first 3 orders from her business from my school, right? From the sports teams that I was on. I think it was hoodies for like when I was running track, and then the basketball team, and I forgot what other. There was 3, and that's what started my mom's business. And my mom took me to the Bahamas, and she was like, "That's your commission," right? And it was kind of like back then. It wasn't. I don't understand. I don't think my mom really. I mean, I'm sure she did, but didn't really understand what she was doing to a 10-year-old kid, because I'm 10 and I'm like, oh, she used my name. She used my slogan. I got her this and she took me there. So it kind of like was like, oh, it was validating a 10-year-old. Yeah. Right. So I think, as I go through this process of life, I think that's the same thing that I go back to. People need to be seen. I like to understand people. I don't like to judge people. I just want to understand you, and then I can work from that once I do that.
Yeah, sitting and being present with someone, no matter what age they are, and truly being present with them and not having, an ulterior motive or having any type of discernment, but really being present in the moment and being empathetic is so important, right? Whether it be a child or even an adult, right? Like we see that with adults. And to bring that into the marketing element is huge. And to your point, as a 10-year-old, this is being like ingrained in your brain of some form of, commerce and reward system, but through someone who obviously it's your mom. And that's such a higher level of experience. And what a feedback loop that must have been.
Yeah. No, it was kind of, later on it was crazy, right? Because at 10,
it's just,
cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I really realized that later in life when you start to, again, mature and start to really understand your foundation and everything, your upbringings and all of that. So that was a very integral part. For me.
So from 10 years old to now, what was that journey like? How did you kind of bob and weave out of entrepreneurship? What was the marketing element? What was your journeys and steps and roads that you took?
I've always been creative. I think if we fast forward after 10, I would probably go from 10. See, from 10. Yeah. Get to about 15 years old. I was dancing for a group like back in the hip hop days, Running Man and Zebra and all that stuff. So I was doing that for a multicultural group. So because it was like I was Puerto Rican, the other dancer was black, white rappers, and it was just very multicultural. And we were with somebody that was pretty known as far as that was managing the group. But I wasn't at the forefront of that, right? I was just talent dancer, and it was great, and I loved performing. I got fed a bunch of lies, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get signed here. And one of the biggest lies that I was told, and I was so hyped for it, they were like, yo, Mike, you're going on Bobby Brown's holiday tour, like, to be a dancer. And I was so hyped. Clearly, I didn't go.
Right.
But the thing is that, I just realized that with that, journey, the music industry was kind of shady. My mom used to sing doo-wop, which is crazy back in the days, and she got jerked in the industry. And when I started to get into the music industry, she was kind of like, be careful, so she had her PTSD.
Yeah, sure.
And then fast forward after that, went through that experience. And then like around 20, 21, my cousin said that he had a girl that sang, and he was like, do you want to manage her with me? And I didn't even know what that meant. It was just like I was the smart cousin, right? Like I knew how to speak. I had, from working with my mom, had all the business etiquette. Like I worked in an office since like 11.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just kind of had that. And he wasn't the brightest, right? So I guess he said, hey, let me get Mike.
Yeah.
And we were very close.
Yeah.
I never did anything with the girl. I had no idea what that meant. I remember going to a college, and I met this kid, and he was talking about that he was managing somebody, and he said, take this book. This is the book you got to read. They call this the Bible. And it was All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. I said, okay, read the book or whatever, and then just tried to continue to, never did anything with her. Met my actual first artist was a reggae artist, right? Did that, and I'm a child of hip hop. I never got a hip hop artist, and then through the journey got a hip hop artist and just started doing things, and then did like an independent. I'm fast forwarding a lot. Then did the independent route and ended up having a little bit of success from that, from like a 3-man team where we got it on radio and like 13 different states, and it was just a lot of situations. And through that, I made mistakes as far as for what I had a record label call, had a meeting. They said, "What are you looking for?" It was a single. And I was like, "Yeah, I need $500,000. They were like, "All right, cool. I'll see you later." And I ended up being able to see that dude probably about a year ago. And I had to tell him, I was like, "You don't even understand what that did." But, did all of that. And I've always been creative. Like I said, starting from that 10-year-old, hey, this would be a great name. Oh, this would be a great slogan. Like I've always, that's definitely a gift that I've had, that I'll just walk around seeing ads and stuff like that. Oh, that's a great campaign. Or, hey, Coffee, it would be a good idea if they did this. And then I started to also see, like, when I would have ideas I would just have random thoughts. Oh, it'd be great to have a clothing line this would be the slogan. It would be about this. And I started to see that come to fruition.
Yeah.
Like I saw things. I was like, okay, I'm on the same page. Like I just started to get that, and I really wasn't doing it. It was just all within here.
Yes.
So when I was able to kind of, if we're going to, pass the music side, ended up being on a TV show, a reality show, got an 8-episode deal on Fuse. I thought that was the trajectory, and then kind of came, I don't want to sound dramatic, but to me it was crashing down.
Oh, of course.
Right? Because it was like, this is the next level, and this is what's going to happen, and it's going to get for a second season, and this is what we're doing. And it just never happened. And I kind of seriously fell. And I went through a mild depression. I didn't want to talk to anybody because I've been when I was younger, I was 18 to 22. I had a very rough time. And in that period of time, I was depressed. I know the pockets, and I know what it looks like, and I know what it feels like. And this was a mild one. I didn't want to speak to anybody, Vinny. I was nobody, and came out of it. And then I probably took a 3-year hiatus of any kind of business. And then my nephew kind of organically, 2017, that's how I started in this social media space, started managing him, and then took it to where.
So many things in there to touch on. One I do want to talk about is that idea of thoughts that come into your mind, because I've had the same thing happen, right? You think of this thing and it's this idea and you get excited about it, but you don't take any action on it. It's just an idea. And then all of a sudden you see it come to fruition in reality, and you're like, that was my idea. And there's so many stories of that, but there's a great book called Big Magic, and I forgot the author's name, but the idea is that these ideas are always floating around us, and they're like dogs looking for a home, and they'll go, and if you're not the one, if you get tapped on the shoulder and you don't take action on it, it's like, all right, I'm going to go find a home that's going to bring me to life. So it's so interesting because I think there's so many people that have these inspirations or these moments where you're catching lightning in that bottle, but don't take action on it. So what was the catalyst for you where you had the idea, took action on it, and then it played out in a way that you're like, oh, okay, I'm glad I did this?
Well, it's kind of crazy because there really wasn't a moment that I even realized, right? I was doing a pod. I think you might have done the pod, the Dad Group pod.
Yeah.
On his pod, right? As I was doing, for the whole book and everything like that. And I'm telling him my story. And he says, Mike, do you realize that God literally set you my whole life? And I'm just going.
Right.
And I was like, wow, everything has been laid out for me.
Yeah.
And I was just going. And I was, literally like, oh, okay. And because I feel very blessed on how everything has happened in my life. I've been through tough times, but that made me who I am today. And it's just I really took at some point, I was like, ideas are great, but execution's better, right? I literally just posted the other day, execution is the new flex, right? And it's because in this creative space, and I needed help with that too, because I am so creative, I can just go, right? And it's funny how you would talk, prior to this asking, me and John met through my mom, right?
Right.
And John is very structured, right? And in the company that I had before, John came in to help because he like all that stuff is crazy to him, right? And how I described it is that, you know, because I'm much better now, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely have learned from him, and just kind of, you know, I just take from people, right?
Sure.
And I'm going, right? I can sit here being on this path and I see a butterfly and I'll just go and I'm going to take this butterfly. Now I'm veering off to the left when I got to go this way, where John was up like, all right, Mike, we're going to come back here. Let's get to where we're going to get to. There'll be butterflies over there, but let's just get over there.
Yeah.
And that's the analogy I always use, because in the creative spaces, you need that. And I've kind of became a hybrid of creative and business, because somebody had said to me, and I have things that people just say to me that just stick. And he said, some people try to execute at the speed of ideas. And I was like, yo, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Right? And I was like, yeah.
That's like firing at neuron speed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because it just comes and it's just, and ideas are exciting.
they're so exciting.
The execution is not.
They're so exciting. Ideas and the beginning stages of bringing ideas to fruition is so exciting. And then all of a sudden that dopamine wears off and you're stuck with, or not stuck with, but you're in a situation where like now you have to do something with the idea. It can't just sit on the, you know, even like in building this, it's like, it's so exciting, the picking the art and the going on out and going here and buying this and painting and doing. And obviously like, yeah, but now it has to be a business. This is a totally different thing now. And I'm very much like you, where I'm like the creative. I have that lens where I could see things and put them together. And I brought on a business partner in this new phase of this, and he's way more of the I's and the T's and the crossing and the, you know, we got to do this and we got to set, because I need those dates and deadlines in order to I'll get it done, but I need the guidance. And that's such an important thing to learn, especially in the entrepreneur space, is pros hire pros. You have to outsource. You can't be everything. And you actually just posted about it not that long ago about, you know, the hustler versus the CEO, right? Those are two similar energies, but they're executed in totally different ways.
Yeah. And I think that's really hard in a creative space, right? In the art space, because trust is such, you got to trust people, right? And I'm sure in the past, hey, I'm me, right? I get to a certain point, I got to bring somebody in, you know, to do something. And then you probably tried to bring somebody in and it didn't work, right? Because you're like, damn, I had somebody there. And then maybe you tried it again and it didn't work. And maybe you tried it again and it didn't work. And now you start to become a micromanager, and it's not really your fault. It's because you've tried to do this, but you want to make sure that you get it done, that they do it right. And it's very challenging to find people that will take something that you have and take it on like it's their own. And that's where I think it becomes difficult from that hustler to CEO, because I know people that are successful, it's hard to get to that level, right? Because of they want to micromanage, and I don't think it's their fault. It's not that they're controlling. I mean, some people are controlling, but some people it's just, I've tried this and I don't want to, you know, I don't want it to fail again, right? And I don't think we're really in control of that. It's just a matter of having the right people around you. I remember I used to think I would never find people like that.
Right.
Because I was like, damn, there's only one me. There is, right? There's nobody out here that's like me. But there are people that do handle things like me and have the same morals and same values. And it's just, how do you find this? Like, I feel like a coach trying to find the pieces, because I don't want to be the main guy anymore, right? When it comes to work, like I want a team. I love team. And sometimes it just becomes a little challenging.
Well, I think it's also about how important that energetic frequency is, right? Tapping into the people that are around you. You talked about it a little bit earlier about being seen and being heard, but there's an energetic frequency that when there's an alignment there, you can't force, or when there's not an alignment there, either way, you can't force that square peg into the round hole.
Yeah.
And sometimes we start to compromise because we need this thing or we think it's going to be beneficial, but there is something that's going on internally where you're like, there's just this block here, and I don't want it to be, because I see it leading to this other opportunity or this other thing, or there's money involved or whatever it is. But the reality is that block is really important energy to pick up on. The same way that he said, like, this is God setting you up. This is also God redirecting you in a sense. And the more you start to tune into who you are and that alignment piece within yourself, it becomes a lot easier to have that radar tuned to others.
1,000%, because that block, I am such a half full glass,
I'm the same way.
and everybody's glass is half full. And if I see that block, you said, I want to see past that. Nah, it's nothing that I can see. And I have, I used to, everybody is, great,
Right.
but not everybody is.
It's like an entourage syndrome.
Yeah. And not everybody is great. And that's okay. And I've also realized that it doesn't mean that you're bad. You could be good and I could be good, but our goods just don't match. It's okay. But I used to, like I said, I used to want to push through. If there was something that's a little off, I'll look past that. But trying to look past that now would affect something in the future. And you got to get people around you that you trust. And I mean, because John is here, but he's one of the people that I remember when we was working, and I'd be like, "Oh, they great or whatever." He'd be like, "All right, let me talk to them. I'll let you know if they great or not." You know what I mean? Because I realized that about myself, right? Because
But that's important too. That's important too, to recognize this is a blind spot for me, especially in a business element. When there's whatever it is, it's your baby, right? Whatever business you're creating or cultivating, it becomes an extension of yourself. It has to. It has to be an extension of your soul, some way, shape, or form. And when it's in such a comfortable little cradle of yourself, it's safe. But once you start to let that baby out into the world, and now people have their hands in it and they start making decisions and they're helping you, it becomes this kind of, okay, there's a reluctancy there, but there's also this relief of allowing it to be out in the world.
Yeah.
And then there's you have the people that say, okay, right, and let me talk to them, and it does play it. But I also noticed that it plays itself out too, right? There's something about that we brought on someone at one point, and it was like, we're talking to this guy, and I was more of like, come on, we can get through. Well, same way, we can do this. We can get through this. And it just played itself out that it just didn't work out. Yeah. And it was a blessing in the long term. But when you're in the throes of it, you're kind of like, I just want to keep it moving, right? Because it feels like if we go backwards, we're not going forwards.
If you build, you will come. The point is, don't lose your dinosaur.
Yeah, I've just learned again with it, and I think that comes with seasoning, experience, and maturity. It's okay. It's okay if something is off.
Yeah.
It's all right. I don't need to hate you.
Right.
All right, cool. You know what? This isn't going to work, and that's okay. And and if you have an issue with that, again, becomes more your issue than it is mine. I just got to make sure that right now, especially from a business side, I'm protecting my energy 100%. I don't care about what money it is. I don't care what it is. If I feel like it's off, and I'm good. I'm good. I'm not really doing it.
Yeah. Protecting your energy, no matter where it's coming from, it's one of, if not the most important things to do. I tell my daughter, I'm like, you're letting these people get in your energy. You can't give your energy to everybody and everything, because you'll go crazy, especially in social media, right? Being so heavily involved in the social media space, you see it. I mean, it could be so overwhelming and exhausting. And it is a job. That is a full-time job that can consume so much energy out of you and your life force.
And it's funny because I love it and hate it at the same time. Like, I could be so unbiased, but I can be biased. It's funny. I've had conversations with my wife. I'm like, "Yo, baby, you understand social media is not real." She goes, how can you say that it's not real? That's your business. That is how you make money. Like, I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand what I'm saying.
So when you say it's not real, and you hear that term thrown around a lot, it's not real. You're seeing the highlight reel.
Right.
But there are people that go onto social media and they share their vulnerabilities. But even in those shares of vulnerabilities, they are seemingly, for some maybe, I don't know, they seemingly could be a facade.
Yeah, I just think we're living in a time that everything needs to, and I again, I understand it. Everything needs to be shown, right? Especially if you're trying to build out, like, honestly, what would be the point of you showing yourself crying, like literally like, what makes you think that you need to turn on the camera when you're going through something right now? Because you want to help somebody or show somebody. But why do you want to do that? Because you want views, or what? Like, what is it? Like, what is it that you're doing that for? Like, and it's hard because there may be people that really, hey, I am going to put this, and I just want to put a camera there, and whatever my life is, and I want people to see I'm going through stuff. I don't know that though, right? So it's very hard to see authenticity now, because there's always a motive, it seems like, and I'm not saying everybody is like that, but that phone and the money in it and the attention and the dopamine and the clout and the eyeballs and everything that everybody wants that. If I put a post up, I'm definitely keep looking at it, because you want to see where has it gone. I mean, for my personal brand, like, I'm not doing it to make money. I'm really doing it for him. I'm making money from from helping everybody else.
Right.
But it's really real, as far as for what it is. And we're getting very caught up now, because it's very different from when I started. I tell this to brands, I tell this to artists, I tell this to people. Like, we're dealing with a human element, that humans that have grown up with this. It's not the same anymore. It's not the same. And there's always, you can look at comments, right? People just don't believe anything anymore. You know what I mean? So that's why you can't do now, from a business standpoint, to put, for you, Agora, to put a post with an influencer one time makes absolutely no sense. Right? There has to be a story built, right? Even if it's a paid situation, you have to curate a story to be able to explain to people what's going on. Because if they've never been to Westchester, right? There's somebody from Canada, hey, you go, whatever, and you paid them something, like, and they never do it again. What does that really do? Doesn't do anything, right? Because people get it. People see, and they see right through it now. And it's just, before, people weren't making, it wasn't a business. There was not, in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even know. And it might have been because I had just got into it. I don't even know if it was the creator economy. I didn't hear that.
I don't think so.
I didn't hear that until later on. And this is what I tell creators. I'm like, do you realize that there's an economy that's been created off of art? Same thing with music. But it's not the music economy. Like, we have the creator economy. There is such, economy is money.
Right.
And that's why people care. That's why people pay you to do anything, because they're not paying you because they like you. They're paying you because they want something within this economy. And it's all right. It's all right. It's
We're all playing the game.
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's
Right.
nothing wrong. What I see that's wrong with it is people taking advantage of each other. And that's what I don't like. I've seen brands getting taken advantage of, and I've seen talent getting taken advantage of. And me, like I said, I work from a human element. I'm very pro creator, but I'm pro human. So if I see, it's not if the brand, no, that's the man. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it. And I don't like to be a part of that. I don't like to see it. I speak up on it. It doesn't matter where I'm at.
Yeah. And even if you think about the feedback loops that you receive on those platforms, it's called a like, it's a thumbs up, it's a heart. There are all these images that feedback loop, love, admiration, right? It's not just like, it's hard to give it other words or other symbols, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that little heart popping up, or that thumbs up with the word like next to it, it does something, whether you're cognizant of it or not. It's doing something to your brain, to your emotions, that's saying, this is good, this feels good, I need more of this.
Right.
And there is something that obviously with anything can get completely manipulated in that. And that's where it does become, obviously dehumanized, right? But there are the people, the creators that say, I do want to help somebody. Like not joking, I post my yogurt every morning, right? Or I post me going to jiu-jitsu at 5 a.m. Why am I doing that? I'm sure somewhere in my subconscious mind, it's for the validation, it's for the, it's for the feed, of course. But you're also building a business. And if I post like eggs, I'll get 5-6 people message me. Hey, no yogurt today?
Yeah.
Right? Or who starts eating healthier? Hey, I just started doing that yogurt breakfast. So there is something that is intrinsically fulfilling in that, but it can get overridden by the hearts and the likes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, no one's posting for nothing. Meaning,
Right.
make it private.
Right.
If you really send it to the people that you care about. I'm going to just take a picture and send it to you. That's not fulfilling, like what we're talking about.
Right.
And the thing is that I think and this is coming from a 51-year-old.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a 22-year-old is going to look at this a lot different because this is what they grew up in. And it's like, when I look at social media, like I said, now really being, if I'm going even deeper into it, I didn't grow up, follow was a bad word.
Right.
And think about how often you hear the word follow. How many followers you got? Who you following? Are you following me? Listen, follow me. I'll follow you back. Where the leaders at?
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my partner this morning, and we had a meeting with somebody just recently, very successful person. And one of the first things my partner said was, he doesn't have that many followers. And I was like, isn't that weird that we have used that as a barometer of success? Like that is a real barometer that we use. It's like an instant moment to say this person's doing well versus this person isn't.
Right.
And I brought up that point. It's like, dude, that's so true. We have used that number next to the word or underneath the word follower as a currency.
And that's why people buy followers. Now, when you start to do that, there's two things about you personally that you need that. Like, but the other side, I get it from a business standpoint. Like, perception of everything.
But I do think that people, and maybe it's now, maybe more so now than before, and maybe I'm wrong with this. I feel like people's bullshit meters, whether they're aware of it or not, somewhere inside of their brains, not the ones that are following or engaging or consuming these people, there's somewhere in their brain that's saying, this is bullshit.
Oh, because
that bullshit meter's real.
Yeah, because it's been years of people seeing this. This is not new.
Right.
Right? People are being raised in social media. So, you know, hey, you have 100-something thousand followers, but you have 600 views. You could blame the algorithm. The numbers aren't, to me, they're not that off. Right? Like, there's no way. Hey, I got 3 million followers, and you put something up, and you got 150 views. And
the math doesn't even make sense, right?
That's
what I'm scaling of that doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. And it says, but there are also people that don't get it, meaning they have no idea, and they just look. There's still people that just look at followers, and it's like, okay, and it's just because I'm in it and deep entrenched in it. It's different. It's like music, right? If you're into country, to me, I'm not so much into country.
I'll put you onto country.
Right, but I
got some songs I'll play for you right now.
Country, there are a couple of songs. Neo actually has a song that's country that's kind of crazy. I couldn't even believe it. But anyway, but I'm saying, if you're really into country, right, and somebody says, country's all the same. No, it's not. You have this type, this type, this type, this type. It's all the same to me. Now you come to me, hey, I like rock. Yeah, it's all the same. No, it's not. You have all these different type of things. So when you're not in something,
you don't see the nuance of it.
Right. So, and now this is what's consuming everybody. And like I said, perception is everything, but perception is nothing. We're so focused on perception, which I get from a business standpoint, but you got to have perception. You got to have a foundation with your perception, right? If you're planning to do something for people to perceive, it's one way. All right. As long as you're building off of that, that's okay. If you're just doing that just to do that, and that's just for the feeling, like, that's cool too, because I'm learning to allow people to be them.
That's the thing, right? And I'm glad you added that caveat, because it does speak to the type of person you are. Because there comes a point, and I don't know what it is, whether it be just your own journey or your own experience, where even in the things that you and you could talk about this on any scale. We're talking about on a very surface level, social media followers, but you could expand this to political affiliations, religious affiliations, any of these things. There does come a point where you're able to, in theory, elevate beyond the fray and look at it and say, I don't agree with you or the way you're going about this, but I do understand your humanistic right to do this thing. And that can get obvious, that can get very, very crazy and convoluted. But I do understand what you're saying in this obviously seemingly pointless social media world, right, to some degree, of followers, where it's like, I don't agree with you, but I do understand that you could do that, and that's cool, whatever.
Right. And so for some people, it's, again, and who am I to judge, right?
Right.
And from Mike's lens,
Right.
let's call it that.
Yeah.
It's pointless, right?
Right.
Why do you need to? Because to me, it's a big high school. This the cafeteria. How many people are at your table? Oh, you only got 3 people at your table? I'm going to go over there. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
It's definitely a big high school. But the thing is like, what are you doing this for? Like, and coming back to, like, as far as from a business standpoint, I like to build with people. I like people that want to make this a business. I enjoy it. I like to get into my Rain Man thing and just kind of, oh, we could do this and we could do that. And also understand the nuances of, hey, it's not 2 years ago. It's not 8 years ago on how you would do this. And this is going to look different. And, like I said, I just think people are I always say the person got to be right before the business can be right. And a lot of people are not good with themselves yet. So this is something, that it gives them validation. People see me, people want, you have to really get into the trenches of people, right?
There's no better trench to get into in my world. I love diving into the human element, the interactions, the psyche, the mindset. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, because people just want to be a part, right? When you sit there and it's just like, I want to be a part of something. When you have followers, when you're part of a group, when you're part of this, it's the same thing with religions and teams and people. Sometimes just with sports, some people just want to play the sport, love the sport, and great. Some people just, you had the kid that wasn't that good. He just want to be a part of the team. He wants to be a part of something. Right. And now you got to look at, what is that? Everybody wants to be a part. Everybody wants to be acknowledged, and that you don't want to be ostracized or anything like that, right? It's just people like to be welcoming, want to be welcome. People want to be loved. People want to be, again, going back to scene and all that. And social media is very, I feel like for the most part, it's superficial, right? It's because all it is a screen, right? It's a screen, and I'm doing things.
And now with AI, forget it.
Yeah, and it's just, listen, you gotta, I hate saying you have to, from my standpoint.
Yeah, the mic line.
Yeah, because the thing is we're living in a time you can't even have an opinion. I mean, I have an opinion.
Sure.
I just think we're living in a world that if you don't think like me, I have to figure out why, and you're an idiot. I don't know why.
I have to impose my will and thoughts on you. It's to make you agree with me.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You see this, those people like being canceled and stuff like certain things. I get it, right?
Sure.
There's certain, you have the 1-2% that I get, but when you have, if I remember, I forgot how many when it was, but Kevin Hart was going through backlash. It was like, hey, look at the tweets that he put out however many years ago. And I'm like, why are we canceling him for why don't we speak to him and ask him, what have you learned from there to become who you are today? Now, some people, they just want to say, oh, I'm sorry. And they're not. Let's have a conversation and see, how did this person grow from there to there, rather than, oh, you made a mistake. All right, see you later. I don't agree with that. I don't. People can change. And I think the reason why I feel people can change is because I've witnessed change in my life, not just with me, with my mom. My mom has been in recovery for 300 years, right? You know what I mean? But as a child, I saw, and that's very difficult to come from being an alcoholic and changing your life to My mother's a life coach and is like levitates. She's like, boot, she's amazing, right? But if you don't see that in your life, do you think anybody can really change? No. Hey, cancel. Boom. You made a mistake. Boom. That's it. I don't agree with that. And that's, that's kind of like the layers of me. And that's why a lot of times it's heavy for me because I am an empath, right? I want to take all of these things because I know I can deal with it. I'd rather you be lighter. Let me figure it out. And I'm learning to do a little bit better with that because, I always say, like, I'll do anything for you. I used to say that. I'll do anything. You know what I mean? If you're my guy, you're my, my family, my friend, I'll do anything for you. Now it's, I'll do anything for you as long as it doesn't hurt me. And that is recent, like within the past 2 years. You know what I mean? Like I was just a different person. And I'm just getting to hey, I got to worry about Mike, and it's okay to worry about Mike. Right.
Yeah, that journey of that arc from who you were to who you are now is it's human nature, right? It's the hero's journey, what you've been through, the ups, the downs. You talked a little bit, you mentioned it briefly about how you went through, these stages of depression, right? And what that might have looked like and felt like, and you could but you could take that, extrapolate it, and bring it into, hey, I'm experiencing this thing again. Mm-hmm. Oh, it reminds me of this thing. Mm-hmm. How do I now rebound, or how do I get out of this state easier, quicker, healthier, and how do I rebound and move forward from there?
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? If we're talking about that, right? And we're talking social media. Right, I do videos, right, in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Good morning.
I know him very well.
You're right, and it's funny because my son Mikey, his girlfriend, I forgot what it was, and I think I forgot what the situation was, but she had told him, like, I feel like your dad, like, I'm just super positive, and I'm just like this, always on a high.
You are,
yeah, and. And I'm serious, right? And it's just like, really? I don't think I joke a lot, you know what I mean? But it's so funny on what socials look like. That's why I have to sometimes remember and say, hey, sometimes it's not a good morning. You know what I mean? Like, people got to understand that because there's a perception of me, and I can't worry about everybody else.
Of course.
But it was very, like, that was something so close, right? Sure. To the house. And it was like,
really? But you see how even that, and your intention isn't even that, but that can be perceived, and that can be now filtered as fake.
Yeah, 100. That's what I'm telling you.
Right?
That's what I'm telling you.
Here I am showing up authentically.
Right.
And this is just who I am, but then that could still go through a lens and a filter of someone else of that's fake, right, or he's just too positive.
Right. Because there's no way that you could be that happy.
Right.
It's impossible. Even if you are, but that's what I'm saying. But
you're adding your own filter to it.
But I do understand that.
Yeah.
Because but that's not about me. I just know that there's those lenses, but that's your lens, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to, I don't have a camera following me every day. Do I flip out? I do.
Yeah.
Right? It's life. But like I say to people, it's like, you're going to have highs and lows. And my journey now is to make those lows as the shortest period of time as possible.
Yeah.
Because I've been down. I've been to the bottom. I'm just, hey, it's especially the life of an entrepreneur, right? Like I say, it's like a farmer. Some days I'm just planting. Some days I'm, hey, get my crops. Sometimes I'm planting. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, a tornado just killed all my crops. Shit. Okay. All right, let me try to see if I can cut half of those crops and try to, like, it's a constant. There is not a every Friday.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So and you have to learn how to do that, deal with things. And, a friend of mine, dude, actually I wrote the book with, who's a client of mine as well, and I know him for years. He was like, Mike, you're going to get to wherever you're going to get to. And you have two choices. You can either stress on your way or not. And it's very simple. Stress or not. And I've had to remember that and try to,
What helps you remember that?
when I'm in like my alone time, like what I do, when I like my morning, like in the shower, right? I'll pray. I'll speak to my grandmother who passed. I say affirmations. And when I'm in that zone, I'm just very in tune with myself.
What is it about the shower, man? There's something about the shower.
You know what I think it is?
There's something about a shower that is just, I mean, I have done so much reflection. I've done mock interviews, conversations. I hear my daughter, and it's just, my daughter's 10, my son, he's 6. Like when they're in that bath shower space, there's this freedom of the mind that's just not always there. There's something about the shower.
Can I tell you what I think it is?
Yes, I'm dying to know right now.
Well,
I was just thinking this the other day because I heard my daughter, she does acting, and she was engaging. And then there was this girl she met at acting. She told me, I kind of want to be a friend. And I heard her like rehearsing, talking to the girl. Mm-hmm. And it was so beautiful because I've rehearsed podcast in the shower. Like, and there's something about that space.
Yeah, I think it's two things. For me, what I've came about, it's a judgment-free zone because you're by yourself. That's why people sing in the
and you're
showers.
naked and vulnerable,
right? And nobody knows. But the other thing is if you remember when you had a child, I don't know if this happened with you, but when you have babies, right? And baby be crying, you turn on the water. They stop crying. You turn on a vacuum cleaner. They stop crying. It's like when you're in the womb. So that noise makes you feel like you're back there. So that's what I think for people, because it's everybody. The shower, the noise is like when you're a child, and I think subconsciously, I don't have science behind this.
I love this.
But I think that it's that kind of
that white noise.
Right. And now you're like back to your original, in your brain, original state, because it's, I used to think it was just me, but
everyone thinks it's just that.
Yeah.
That's a good tale.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's like I said, two things. You don't, nobody's there, because I get mad when somebody comes, like if my wife, my wife opens up, like I'm in the shower and opens up the door, like this is my space.
Yeah. I totally get it.
I don't want, like, once I leave this room, we're back to life. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's my take. Again,
I love it.
No science behind.
I love it. No, but it does make sense that there is something that is subconsciously going on that seemingly most people, if not all people, feel this sense of comfort and safe, and you're naked and you're almost like back in the placenta in a way, right? Like you're back in the water, and it kind of makes sense. We're talking a little bit about that journey, and one thing I come up across very often is that space of where I was and the space of where I want to be, right? I call it living in the delta. It's living in between these two realities of the person you were, the person you see yourself being, but you're neither one anymore. And you spoke a little bit about it in regards to the most important thing in that space is gratitude. How has gratitude in your life filled that gap? Because when you're in the midst of, hey, I'm not really this guy anymore. I'm not doing these things, whatever those things are, drinking, smoking, whatever those things are. But I'm also not to my fullest potential. How is gratitude the bridge there?
I just think you got to be in your moment. And again, this is for me, and I'm dealing with it right now. So it's like a constant practice, right? Like, I said this the other day, when I do these videos, I like to watch them back because it's literally like I'm talking to myself, right?
It always is, right?
Yeah, because I need that. And I'm dealing with this right now, right? I've been really messed up about my age, right? And 9 times out of 10, I'm the oldest person on the Zoom, in a room, any of that, right? Unless I'm dealing with CEOs, they make me feel better because I'm like, yeah, old ass guy.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that, I feel a way. And then I have to, it's literally, like I said, you have to have your own things in your brain where if you go down that path, be like, wait, hold on a second, but this is your journey. This is your book, right? I couldn't be here at 25. There's no way. I wouldn't be this guy. I wouldn't be seasoned. I wouldn't be experienced. And who knows if I would have had this whole humanity, I feel like I'm here. My purpose that I realized in the past 2 years of I'm here to serve. I know that. I know, God, that's my purpose in this. I can't script this any better. So I have to feel grateful to be able to be there, that I got here at 50, right? That I'm able to do what I'm doing as much as I would have loved to, but what is the point of thinking about that? Why? Oh, if I was 30, like I used to have a friend that used to be like, oh, I wish if we had, I can't live like that. And I think I'm on the back nine, right? Because I hope this is halftime. I hope. And I'm trying to make sure that I help. And I say this a lot. However old you are, I'm older than you, right? So if you get something in your life, if I can help you get something at 49, what that took me to 51, that's a win, right? Because it's from a human standpoint, but you have to have things to, like I said, in that shower aspect of it, that's where I've got, where even if it's like things are crazy, whether it's financially or I have 12 things to do and it's like, okay, because I'm an active husband, I'm an active father, and there's business. So that can get overwhelming. You gotta take a deep breath, be like, hey, but at least it's gonna be all right. Because it always is. It always is. And I'm really like, I went to go speak to some kids at my man Dro, he does like a after school at Henry Street down in Lower East Side. And as I was speaking to them, you know, I'm very much of, I have a solution for every one of your excuses. Everyone, right? May not be what you want to hear. It may be, hey, maybe you can't do that right now. That's the solution. People don't want to hear that. You know what I mean?
I do.
Right? So it's like, you know, I come from that excuses or results. Can't have both, like those type of things. And it's just like, I'm just very grateful when I sit back and I look at my life and, hey, are there things that I want? I'm at that stage right now. I want to be certain places, right? Again, with the age aspect of it, I should be, you know what? No, you shouldn't, right? And I literally just said this before, maybe about an hour before I came here. I was telling my wife, I was like, this has been messing with me. And I said, but I don't want to let it kill the momentum because I have a lot of good things happening. Right. And I can only stop that. And if I start to get in my own stuff, that's what happens when, you know, I just have to keep going. And sometimes I have to tell myself that too, because it's not, hey.
Yeah, it's good morning, right?
Yeah.
It is such a cliche it is just one foot in front of the other, but it is true. And, you know, you just got to keep on going with it and going with it and going with it. You said something in there that, in regards to being in that space, realizing that, and the excuses, right? And I call them valid humanistic excuses. They're still seemingly excuses. I'll acknowledge that, but they're super validated. So, example, going to bed at 11 o'clock after doing a men's group, waking up to go train at 4 a.m, seemingly could be perceived as an excuse if you're in the David Goggins hustle culture. But you could also validate and say, I went to bed at 12 o'clock. I'm on 4 hours of sleep. I still have to go work and all these other things. And so it's hard because I navigate those two worlds. And what I've come to realize, and it's kind of what you were touching on, is this idea of surrendering to something, but it's also, you know, it's motivation then motivation turns to discipline. And what I'm seemingly coming into is discipline gets replaced by sacrifice. And it's, what are you willing to sacrifice? Right. And maybe the sacrifice isn't the sleep. Maybe you need to sacrifice the gym. And in this world of fitness entrepreneurs and all these things, it's like, that's blasphemy. How could you not go to the gym on a fucking Wednesday? Oh, I couldn't, right? Because I was fucking tired. Right. So I agree with you 100% on their excuses, but to me, the lens I sometimes look at them through, and maybe it's a chink in the armor, which I'm open to hearing about, is there's still something valid about that excuse. And 100%. I need to say, it might be a sacrifice I have to make.
Yeah, but you know, like I say, when I say excuses or results, you can't have both. It's true. I'm not saying that the excuse is bad.
Right.
This was the excuse. Okay. And live with that. Don't see the thing with excuses that people will sit there and say excuse, but no, just like you said, I didn't go to the gym because I was tired. Oh, how could you not? Because I couldn't.
Because I was fucking tired.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm not living for you. You're not living for anybody else. And that's what people are trying. again, going back to social media, this is part of our world. People see, oh, like you said, fitness entrepreneurs, you can't do this. You should be able to. Yeah, I hear you. I got you. I got you. Today I couldn't.
It's that simple.
That's it.
Yeah, my morning routine is not all these things. And I think I've gone through the seasons of waking up at 4 and going in the sauna and doing the cold plunge and hitting the run and the workout. And there is something about that I feel significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also have recognized that is a season, and I could extrapolate the good out of that. And I could say, hey, I love to get to return to that, or maybe I could do that 3 days a week.
Right.
But I also do recognize that there are seasons of my life where I'm crushing a sleeve of fucking Chips Ahoy cookies after my son falls asleep at 9:30 and I fell asleep in his bed and I stumble into the kitchen for cookies and milk.
Right.
Like, am I happy about that season? No, but it's the same thing about like the weather, that sometimes like I really don't want it to be fucking cold out right now, but it's just the season I'm living in right now, and I just have to put on a bigger jacket.
And you just gotta own it. That's it. I ate the fucking sleeve of Chips Ahoy. You know what? Yeah, I
had to have a bagel
game or whatever. Yeah, whatever it is. That I think it's the excuse part where people make the excuse, but then want to I always say, when you take a stance, I've said this to my mom. Hey, you take a stance. Nobody can get mad at the stance that you take, but please, you got to understand, with your stance comes a reaction.
Right.
You can't expect your stance to be here, but you want this reaction over here. Doesn't work like that, because everybody's different.
Yeah, but then there's also, I forgot who said it. I just heard the quote there. I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah.
Right. On that stance, I may have had this stance, but then I learned something or was exposed to something or experienced something that says, I've changed my mind. I've grown into a different person and I've changed my mind.
Yeah. But see, you have to be, I think people have to be very well versed in being a human. Right? Because like you said, somebody can say, and it's 100% correct, I have the right to change my mind. Yeah, but you do it every fucking day. Sorry, I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Right? And you're validating that because, hey, I can change my mind. Yes. But then you're changing your mind every day, and I have the right to not want to deal with you because I can't deal with somebody that changed it. I'm not telling you not to. Just understand that for me, again, your good is not good with my good.
Right.
I'm going to have to go over here, but you're going to get mad. Well, what? I can't change. You can, but why are you mad? Because I have to go over here.
Well, that's the thing. I need to accept you changing your mind. And if I don't accept you changing your mind, I'm the bad guy.
Right.
Which is one of our biggest cultural problems that we see time and time again. And whether it be Colin Kaepernick taking a knee on a flag or someone going into a locker room, that whatever, right? We're constantly seeing that I have to accept you're changing your mind, but I'm not allowed to change my mind of change. It really becomes a mind game. And stop.
And I'm a free thinker, right?
Yeah, same.
I don't, I'm very aware. I read rooms, like I said, I have a great sense of humor, at least I think, right? Like I was telling you earlier, me and that dude right there, the conversations that me and him have will never be posted. Right? Because that's like our dark web. Right? But the thing is, it's all in fun. Like we sit there and it is what it is. I'm not going to post that. It doesn't mean that that's where I can joke about things.
Right. You diversify.
I can have fun with it.
Right.
Some people, you shouldn't joke about that. Why not?
Right.
It doesn't bother me. Right. You got to be. I do. I'm very empathetic. I'm very sympathetic to people. But at the end of the day, if I'm not, I remember because I like to joke around about people and stuff like that.
Sure.
And people are like, oh, what if they're making fun of you? I'm saying, great. I hope they're having as much fun as I am, because it's not malicious. This is just, because situation, somebody I don't want anybody feeling bad. I'm just I grew up in a very jokey household, right? And this is just what I do. I'm telling you, the way I am on business, because I was on a Zoom with Make-A-Wish and Disney. There was like 4 people from each side, and I'm in there joking at my partner that work. He's like, "Oh, Mike, you're hilarious." I just like to I like to bring people down, right?
Yeah.
I don't sit there and go and do a stand-up comic bit. I don't do it like a George.
What's the deal?
Yeah. Who are these people? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't do that, but it's just like, I just like to be, I like to be me, and I like people to allow me to be me, and I allow you to be you. Yeah. And that's not always easy, because I'll have to catch myself with certain things. But what do I care? Right? Like, all right, I'm cool. Because people just have to be able to live their life. And again, I always say, I wish I didn't care so much, because I think when you care, life is more difficult. Because if you don't care, you just do.
Right. It's like a parent, right? When you're a parent and you're concerned that you're not doing a good job, it's probably a good sign that you are doing a good job, because you're aware of how much you care, right? But if you're just kind of walking through and no concern, then obviously you're blind to yourself in a degree.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I just think, again, bringing it back to social media. Social media gave everybody an opinion, and everybody does have an opinion, but you just don't have to care about everybody's opinion.
That's the part, right? And everyone could share their opinion, but you don't have to care about it.
Yeah, who cares?
As with the name MYQ Success, what is and what was your definition of success, and how has it changed?
It definitely has changed. Because I always use that word, like, success is to everybody, it's determined by the person, of course, right? I remember years ago, I wanted to do, again, one of these ideas with clothing lines, right? And it clearly with the name Success, I was like, I wanted to do pictures, of a private jet, a Lamborghini, then a family, a job. You know what I mean? Like, things, everybody's definition of success is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, when I was younger, it was definitely materialistic. Now it's more about making impact, right? Like, if I can help, like I said, if I can help people, listen, I'm a materialistic, right? Like, but I'm not one of those guys that, hey, I don't want to pay my bills so I can have that. Not doing that. My family, I saw Wallow and I reposted the other day, like, my fun and my thing is my son going to school, being able to do that. My son wants to get trained, like, being able to provide my family with that. My family is everything to me, right? I just want to be able to help, and, being able to have the life where, prior to my son being older, but I was able to, I take him to school, right? Like, I wanted to do that. And did I want to do it in a Lamborghini? Yeah. Do I have one yet? No, right? But I want to be able to do that. I want to be there. I want my son to look, when he's playing sports, to look, whether he's playing or not, my dad is there, right? But now my ego's going to kick in. My kids do play because they're nice. But that's okay. That was an ego thing right there. Sorry. We're all entitled to it. But yeah, success to me is like, harmony, positivity.
Yeah.
And again, you being happy and me being in a room and everybody here being happy and whatever that is to them. And it's, like I said, it's very, very different. It may be the same, it may be different, but let people just be them. And I just want to be me. And that's success, to be able to be with my family and just provide, and financially, emotionally.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me right now. That's why I say, like, people get it all twisted with me, because I always say it's not all about money. I don't chase money. I chase business, right? But I don't chase the money part. The money comes with the business, and I'm a shark in what I do. I'm just a vegan shark.
Yeah.
I'm not out for blood, right? So I guess that's the longer version of what success is to me.
You mentioned the word purpose before. And I think that's something that a lot of men think and do need, but has struggled finding it. How did you find your purpose? How did you come into this living a purposeful life?
I really went through a transition turning 50 years old. Like, 49 to 50 was a big change for me. And when I was turning 40, I thought I was going to have that. and 40 was nothing.
Yeah, same thing. So I'm 41, and someone asked me I turned 40. They said, "What does it feel like?" And I was like, "It kind of feels like you're walking through the woods without a flashlight, and you're kind of just navigating through it off your senses." That's how I describe like getting out of my 30s. And now I'm kind of like I have like maybe now the flashlight has a low battery, and I have to hit it every once in a while. But I got a little bit of a flashlight now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I knew I was going to be 50, I don't know, just had to really take a lot of reflections. I went through a point where I didn't even want to be, again, not a depression. It was just really finding like, what am I doing right now, right? And I'm close to my mother, my stepfather, and I literally had to go from 10, I had to dial it back to 1. I got to get away from everybody. I just got to figure this out, right?
What did that entail?
Separating myself, like, and just leaning into me. Like, having conversations with my counsel, right? Of people that know me. I had to separate from a business partner, and it was nothing personal. It was just, I've said this a lot. Like, my analogy is that I was made to be a 100-watt light bulb, and I was shining at 60 watts for so many years because
What was that?
That I just didn't want to outshine people. And I'm a team guy. So if me and you are doing something and we're a team, I didn't want to outshine Vinny, right? So I dimmed my light so that Vinny could be okay. Maybe Vinny is only a 60-watt light bulb. I'll dim it to 55.
Where does that come from, though? Because I think that's something that compounds over time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's something that just happens and all of a sudden you live that way. I think it's something that over time it just adds up and adds up and adds up. And even, I think that children and being a father, we get this amazing opportunity to revisit life through this lens of our children. They become this amazing mirror. Mm-hmm. And I do see that with my daughter who's 10 years old, is that, she does acting, but when she's on stage, she has this little reservation about her. But when she's home, again, she's in her house, and I get all that.
Right.
But, I say to her all the time, like, Emma, just let that out. Like, let it out. Because, you mentioned God. I definitely want to get into the God stuff. But there is a lens that we get to see our children as God sees us, right? And I do think that putting on those layers and dimming your light is something that compounds over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in team sports, right? I played sports my whole life. I'm a team guy. I want to be a good team player. But again, with maturity and understanding, sometimes I'm trying to think of what's this, you like, all sports?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say LeBron in his prime.
Sure.
Right? I'm not J.R. Smith.
Right.
I wanted to be J.R. Smith so that I can kind of be here and let, other people shine. But I realized again in this 49 to 50, it was literally that.
Was it like a light switch?
I don't think it's as dramatic as that. It was over time because I started to, like, even when I was telling my mom I need to be by myself, I'll come back. I'm trying to find this new version of me. I'll get back to the 4, 5, 6, but I just need to it's nothing personal. This is all me. I got to sit here and I got to become this new version of me. And that comes with being through therapy and having all of these things to be able to do that. Because if you haven't done stuff like that or work like that, or, I've been in AA rooms and I've been in therapy and I've been myself to, facilities and rehab, like there's things that I've been through, and I've been able to take all of those pieces to help me on where I'm at. So I had to dial back. I know I'm going to come back because my foundation, I know who I am, but I got to figure it out. Like I was literally sitting having a conversation with my wife where I was like, literally, like, I'm the shit. Like I really am. You know what I mean? And I saw her. I said, I see you looking at me like you really think you're the shit. And I do. But you have to understand that you know where it's coming from. It's not coming from a cocky standpoint. I want to be the guy. I want to be around Vinny, who thinks that Vinny's the guy, and Vinny is not insecure about me being this guy, and I'm not insecure about Vinny being him. I want to be around winners. I want to be around secure people, not, oh, this guy thinks yes, he does, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That's your insecurity, and I was letting that happen for me, and I was like, on a team aspect of it, sometimes I got to take the ball in the fourth quarter and I got to take the shot because that's my shot. I have no problem passing it. But sometimes it's like Kobe, where Kobe, I'm not passing you. You weren't in the gym with me, right? I'm sitting here because this is my life and this is what I'm doing. And once you know who Mike is, you know where Mike comes from. Mike is a genuine individual, right? And I'm doing this. I have to shine at 100. You know why? Because if you're only a 60 watt, that helps you. Right. Come close to my 100 because now I can shed some light and you can see. And then maybe you can become 80 and then whatever it is. I just was focusing so much on everybody else and so worried about everybody else. And let's make sure that we all win. I want to. Some people just aren't capable to take that journey with you. And I'm understood that. And I realized that. And that's a difficult thing to do, especially in the business that I'm in. But I'm a servant leader, right? I serve. So it's like, I have to take care of clients constantly. And then you hear, be selfish. And it's like, where's that middle ground, right? Because I got to be selfish, but I also have to serve. How do you find that? And I think that comes with maturity, understanding, and work. It doesn't work like that. That's why like that helps me understand, hey, for Mike's story, he had to be 50 in order to get here. I couldn't. At 25, if I was in this position at 25, I'd be a completely different person. Completely different person as far as what I would do, but my morals and values are the same. It's funny. Oh, I had a video from when I used to shoot DVDs with this guy, and he shot a DVD with me. He wanted to do a story on me, right? This was in the year 2000. It's so crazy how, number one, how different I am, but what I'm talking about is the same thing that I talk about today, just in a different time. I'm like, hey, we're not anybody yet, but hopefully we're going to get somewhere and we're going to be able to help people, right? And this was when I was in the music industry, and it's like, we don't jerk anybody over here, right? When you get, if you do 90% of the work, you're paid 90%. Like, we just want to do everything honest with integrity. Like, I was talking the same thing. It's the same, but it just looks different. Like, it's so funny, like, to see. And my wife told, she was like, you got to show the kids and I'm trying to get somebody to do, like, somebody was like, you got to get that video and kind of infuse it with the videos you do now.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like, how do you do that? But, yeah, it's a process. And men, we don't have that either, right? Because men are supposed to be men, whatever that is. You know what I mean? And I realized that too. I especially when I speak to talent, this, that, like, people kind of open up to me, right? Because my energy is genuine.
Yeah, I have that. It happens to me. I'll go to the beach, like whatever, early in the morning. I'll bump into somebody, and all of a sudden we're praying with each other, and they're telling me their life story, and then I go back and tell my wife, and she's like, "Of course that happened to you. Like that's who you are as a person. Like that's the energy that you give to people."
Yep, and that's my purpose. I know that sometimes I bump into people, and it's, hey, supposed to have a conversation. Maybe you're supposed to know that there's real good people out here. Maybe you're supposed to know, maybe there is similar stories. Whatever the situation is that I am just walking around here doing what I'm doing, having faith that God has faith in me to make the right decisions. Because that's the thing too. And just working like you said, one step in front of the other. Sometimes you get a cramp and that foot can't go, and you got to work through that to get that other foot. Yeah. Right? It's not as simple as that. And just taking life how it comes and being able to take those commas in life. Some people mistake periods. You know what I mean? It's like a period. It's not a period. It's just a comma. Just chill for a sec. Continue going. It's just like we're in such a black and white world. It's this, it's that. It's this. No, there's a lot of gray, and people just don't get that, right? And they're just so, oh, it's a numbers game. I'm like, yeah, okay. You can get 4 plus 0 is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Right.
Still get to 4, but there's different ways to get to 4.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Welcome to Agora Social Club, the Westchester's hub for guys to gather, connect, and unwind. In the last 6 years, I've been facilitating a men's group called the Council of Dudes. And within that 6 years, I realized that guys need a place where they can get together, connect, and build community. A place that's not the gym, that's not jiu-jitsu, that's not the bar, but a place where guys can come with no ego and grow and develop together. So here we have our chess table. We're gonna be having monthly chess lessons and our take a book, leave a book library. Some of these I've read, some of these I haven't. Quantum physics to personal development to fiction. We also have our record player area. In the last few years, I've become very obsessed with jazz music. And if you don't know how to play vinyl, no big deal. It hooks up to your phone via Bluetooth. We have artwork from California to local artists. We have these small little work tables. So if you want to hang on the couch and get some work done, you can just come pop them open. And we also have our little workspace here with quotes from Muhammad Ali, Albert Einstein, Theodore Roosevelt. We also have our coffee bar, small fridge, and more quotes and artwork over the wall. Head on over to agorasocialclub.com, sign up for our free 7-day trial, and with that, you will get a key fob. Scan your key fob, and you have access to this space from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. So if you're a guy in the Westchester area and you're looking to gather, connect, and unwind with like-minded men, head on over to agorasocialclub.com.
And in doing work with the guys that, whether it be the men's group or one-on-one coaching, one thing that you mentioned, I think is so important is this kind of mentor-mentee relationship. Mm-hmm. And, I did a group last night and there's an older guy, his kids are in college. One guy has a newborn, I have a 10 and 6-year-old, the other guy has a 6-year-old, and who's going through this and who's going through that, and offering this lens and perspective to life, mm-hmm. right? And you mentioned it before, like if I'm going through this at 50, and I could offer this opportunity to have this perspective on something at someone who's 45, 46, it's almost my duty to do so. And I think that as culturally we've gotten away from that, especially for guys, like I think that we don't have that community of openness and vulnerability and sharing, and because it's perceived as weakness. But there is something about having the mentor, the older person, say, hey, listen, I'm going through this thing right now and I don't know how to navigate, or maybe I'm navigating this way, but you could show me another way to navigate. Show me a different way to get to 4. Because I've just been doing 2 + 2 all this time, and 2 + 2 is getting really fucking tiring.
Mm-hmm. No, 1,000%. And that's why, like, the videos that I do, if you look at the hashtag, I'll say the virtual block, because I feel like there's no OGs anymore. People are so consumed in their world that they forget about the next generation, and they don't want to give anything because they're still figuring themselves out. But it's like,
but you never figure yourself out.
No, it's a constant thing. And that's the thing, is people think that there's a moment.
Yeah, but I don't think that people think there's a moment. I think people they want it to be a moment. And it's I remember I was running on the beach one time, and I remember I was like, I'm going to get past that light post. Like there's a lighthouse. Mm-hmm. I ran past it, and in my mind, I didn't know what I was like anticipating, but I got past it and I was like, all right, now it's going to run back. Like, I don't know if I was expecting like confetti to come out and some fucking guy to come out of the ocean like, here's a medal, you've done it, you've passed the lighthouse, congratulations. I think we're all looking for that because we're sold that on a cultural level, like, you're going to retire, you're going to have this. But when you enter that entrepreneur space, which is a beautiful metaphor for life, there isn't this moment where it all comes together and you're done and okay, now it all makes sense. It is this constant growth and evolution and reflection and growth and going backwards and forwards. And it's exhausting.
It is. It's work. It's work. People
and it doesn't end
at all. And with the retirement aspect of it, it's I was having a conversation with somebody and it's like, I want to retire, and it's just like, would you ever retire? I'm like, you retire from something you don't want to do. Like a lot of people don't like their job. So they're dying to get to the end.
Right.
And then
literally dying to get to the end.
Yeah, like, okay, I retired. And then what? And then what happens?
Yeah.
You end up getting another job.
Right.
Oh, I get, I'm just using like a union type of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Pension. And what do? You get a part-time job. I can't just be sitting around. You didn't enjoy it. Right. I enjoy what I do. Don't get mad at me. Right? Like, why are you mad?
Yeah.
Because I enjoy what I do. I don't mind.
It's almost like it's so frowned upon, like to some degree, especially I think less and less now as we're seeing, influencers and, and the social media really, obviously it's podcasting, whatever expression of art has become a viable business opportunity for people. But there is still this cultural, foo-foo of artists and entrepreneurs, and that's always been, whether it be actual art that you're creating or music or any form of expression, it's go get a real job, and that gets said to you enough that you think that that's the only way to live. And I say it all the time, it's like I'm tired of squeezing living into life. And you are a person that you see and you enjoy living. You enjoy life. And that's, obviously by design to some degree, but that's also the fact that you enjoy what you do. You wake up every day and you're engaged with the world.
Mm-hmm. No, 1,000%. And it's just, when people say get a real job, I don't want a job.
Right.
Because then it's a job.
Right.
And that's what I tell creators a lot. Once it starts to become a job for you, a job is a bad kind of, when it becomes a business for you, that's different. But a job, I got to go to work. Yeah. Listen, enjoy work, right? Again, we have so many words and everybody has different definitions to it. Work to you and work to me are two different things. Consistency to you and consistency to me are two different things, right? But it's okay. It's okay. Like, can't frown upon somebody. If consistent to you is posting once a day, that's consistent to you. For what, if this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Consistent to me might be posting 3 times a day. Doesn't mean that we're just different and different outcomes and
unrealistic excuses.
Exactly.
Right? They get in the way. And it's funny because on a long enough timeline, you could still be consistent, right? Like someone looked at me like, "Oh, you're very disciplined and you're very consistent with X, Y, and Z." I'm like, I don't perceive myself that at all, because I'm looking at, and you said it earlier, I'm looking at the people ahead of me, which is one of my favorite quotes, comparison is the thief of joy, right? I'm looking at the people ahead of me and I go, oh, those guys are disciplined and consistent, because I want to be around those people. When you do become the average of the 5 people you surround. It's so true. And I was just listening to Brett Eaton, who's on the podcast. He wrote a book. It's takes 2 positive people to offset like 1 negative person. You have 1 negative person, they will suck the life out of you. They will suck the life, and you need double the energy just to get back to like baseline. So that's why it's so important to be in those rooms where you're not the smartest, you're not the fittest, you're not the most successful, because you're going to, rising tides, rise all ships, right? You're going to rise to that occasion for some people. Other people get intimidated by that. And they look at themselves and they go, oh, well, fuck that guy. He's a dick. That guy's a douchebag. Fuck him. And they become the victim of the situation.
I say that all the time. You got to be ready for that, right? It's like,
how do you get ready for that, though? Can you get ready for that?
It comes back to, you got to be right with yourself.
Yeah.
Who are you? Got to figure out who you are, what you want to do, where you're at, like as a person, because that's what happens is like, if we're in a room and if all of us have, and I'm going to just use items, right?
Sure.
All of us have Hondas, right? Honda Center. Somebody walks in and they just be like, my Mercedes, and I had to do this and this and that. And there may be somebody in with this dude coming in here talking about his Mercedes. What's wrong with that? He comes from a circle where everybody has Mercedes. And then somebody walks in that circle. My Lambo. Dude got a Lambo. It's what you use. Again, being intimidated by that. I like to be in the I like to be where I'm striving for.
Yeah.
Right. I don't mind. I have circles where I'm the smartest, because I'm doing a lot for that circle. I don't want to live there. I need to be over here so that I can learn from you for different things. I need something to strive for, because when you're there and you're the top person, who's inspiring you?
Right.
Everybody's sitting there and you feel good. Maybe. I don't know. Right. I'm okay jumping into that to kind of help. And then I have to go over here. And, if you think you better. And I don't have that in my circle, but it happens, right? Oh, you think you're better because no, I don't. I don't think I'm better. I am better. Right? Like,
what's
wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I laugh, but you're right. I mean, and I laugh because it's like a very uncomfortable thing to say, right? But there is something to it that you should be in that space with yourself to say, I am better than this.
Right.
And it's funny because if you say it towards a group of people that you deem as less than, and you get my point, right? but that's not acceptable. But if you did it for yourself, if you said about your own self, right, that would be acceptable, right? If you talk down to yourself, like I'm better than this, I could do, that's okay.
Right.
But when you allocate that energy towards other people, or it's perceived that you are, that's frowned upon.
Yeah, I would never be like, yeah, well, I'm better than you. I'm not that, because if you sit there and think, I know that I am better than, and again,
It might just be I'm better at this thing.
yeah, it's
I'm
just,
not a better human. I'm just better at this allocation of energy towards this thing.
yeah, it's not like when I first got a job, when I was in the Bronx and I got a job, right? I first got a job and it was a union job. When I came to my block, everybody was like, you're good. You're straight.
Yeah.
Pension, benefits. Oh, you're set for life. It's cool. Right? Like, I didn't say it to them. No, because again, you don't want to, because everybody doesn't have the mindset and being mentally strong to be, I didn't want to say that because, what you mean? You got this, you're straight. I just saw there was more. There was more for me, right? Like there was more that I wanted. This is okay. This could be your top. I'm not mad at that. Just why? Don't be mad at me because I want more than what your top is. That's who you are. And I'm not getting mad at you. I'm not belittling you. That's great for you. It's not for me. Why are you so upset about it?
Do you think that they're upset about it because they see that they're limiting their own potential?
Yeah, that's all with people.
Yeah.
Right? When they're mad at somebody for doing stuff, and it's really them. And like I said, when I was younger, I was more concerned about that. It's different now. I'm just a different person now. My energy is different. Like I'm the same morals, values, integrity, character, but I'm just more confident in who I am. And it is true, as you get older, you give less and less a shit. Seriously, because but again, it could come off a certain way. Like if you don't know me, it's like when you talk this talk, this dude again. This guy thinks he's
but it's funny because I think it's not only do I not. You don't have to know the person. I think you said it like you have to be right with yourself. I've met you 3 times now, right? I don't take anything that you're saying as like, oh, that's dick, right?
Yeah.
I think that's because I'm on my own journey of your version, right? I'm on my own hero's journey of my story and trying to do my own thing. So rather than look at it as, oh, fuck this guy, who does he think he is? I have the lens of like, what can I learn from this person?
Yeah.
This is a teachable this is someone who could teach me something about my journey. Now that's a different dynamic, right? That changes it. But you do have to come to a point where, and maybe it's only through life that we get to this point, but I do know a lot of guys are in their 40s and 30s and 50s that are just not at that energetic frequency. And I'm the same way. I'm like, man, if I would have known this shit in college, holy shit. And then there's people that look at me and go, you are leaps and bounds beyond 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
I just don't see it because I'm in that lens of, I want to be with the sharks, right?
Yeah.
I want to be the higher caliber person. When you're in the room talking in different commas with other people, those are the people I want to be around, right? And it's not until you recognize that you are of that caliber that you actually step into that role.
Yeah, you just got to, be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, again, so weird. You can't get caught up in society because I love that. Like, fuck this guy. Who does he think he is? And the answer is, I think I'm me.
Right. What do you think about like sharing your thoughts and visions and dreams and aspirations with people? Because a lot of people like keep that shit to yourself. Don't say shit. Just grind away. And then I come from the mindset of like, no, because like people are gonna show themselves to you in those moments. Like even if they don't say anything, their energy, their body language, their dismissive, passive aggressive comments, they're going to give you a little bit of a snippet of who they are as a person, good, bad, or indifferent. And then to me, that gives you a little bit of that chip on your shoulder, and a little fire underneath your ass to like, I want to prove this person wrong. Not in a negative way, but like, I just want to show up for myself even more so now.
Yeah. I think if you want to share it, you share it. People that are saying, hey, don't share it is because I'm sure it's out of concern. Right. Don't share it because people will either do or shit on it or whatever it is. It's just like, I think when you're a person, you do whatever you want to do. You say it, you don't say it, you share it, you don't share it. Only people are scared to share it if they think something's going to happen. That this person, if I share it, you can't do anything.
Right.
You can't do what I did, whatever it is.
Yeah. How strong is that foundation in what you believe in and what you're doing?
Right. And you have to, again, going back to the person has to be right before anything, any business can be right, because you're going to have to deal with all of these things. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a big high school.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true. We brought up God a couple of times throughout this conversation. How has your relationship with God changed? Has it always been, has it always been the word God? For me, it was, the universe and source and the force and all these other expressions of that. How has your relationship with God kind of shifted?
It's changed because I grew up Catholic. I grew
Same,
up
yeah.
altar boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then as I got older, I started to, I have Jewish stepbrothers, and I started to have conversations with them as I got older about their beliefs. And I've had Muslims and Buddhists and, 5%ers. And it's just like having all of these conversations. And I've changed that, God is my God, right? But I'm more spiritual than I am religious. But it's definitely, it's the North Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I very much believe in God and saints. For me, like, I was born on St. Michael's Day, like in the Puerto Rican household. My grandmother was very, very big, right? And that's why, like, after my grandmother, I was a gift from God, because our family saint is St. Michael. She told my mother I was going to be born September 29th, which is St. Michael's feast day. That's why I was named Michael. And she was like, yeah. My cousins are like, we all were fighting for second place because we couldn't top that. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that we could top that, But, you have to have that relationship, and, you got to understand that everything can't go right. Oh, if there's a God, how come? If everything went right, God would be an enabler, right? Whoever your higher power is would enable you, because there's nothing wrong. There's parts of these things and parts of, like, you have to go through. I had to go through everything that I went through in order to get here. Because how am I supposed to tell or try to help somebody for whatever the situation is for me? I may not, I'm very aware too. If I didn't go through exactly what I can be empathetic. But if I went through it, I'm sympathetic, right? Because I went through it and I understand, but I still don't fully understand what you went through, right? So it's like, to me, as long as you have God in your life, whatever God is to you, God could be a freaking cup. I don't know. Everybody has I let people be them, right? But as long as there's some sort of higher power, and again, that's learning in the rooms of AA. Like, I grew up in that, right? And, doing
AA.
Yeah, doing my homework in meetings, you know what I mean? And you hear all of these different things, and the 12 steps and the 12th editions, and it's a higher power. There is no, it's not, you don't have to be Catholic. It's just, as long as you have a higher power. And I just fully believed in all of that, because again, when I say I've witnessed change, I've witnessed things spiritually, right? I'm very entrenched in that, where I believe it. Some people don't. I do, right?
Yeah.
So it's very much in my life. Like I said, in the shower, right? I'm praying. I say my affirmations. I say things out loud. I'm just I try to be very, very in tune. And that's what kind of brings me balance when I feel like life is a little crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, God, for me, I would have said I was spiritual. Now I lean into being religious, and I was raised Catholic. And through conversations, I still go to Catholic church. My kids go to religion. But my more recent experience is extrapolating the Christianity out of Catholicism, removing all of the frills of it and the human integration of things, and really extrapolating the essence of it.
yeah.
But that's just me. That's just my journey, right? That's just where I'm at right now. And listen, at the end of the day, and to your point, I would say, like, I'd use all these other words, and now it's God. And for me, it just feels better to be in that space. And if it feels better, then I'm just going to lean on that, right? Then not. And creating that relationship definitely has just shifted me, right? It shifted, that dynamic of man and God has grown and evolved to a completely different relationship than when I was a kid and I was going to Catholic school. I was like, you're a sinner.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, this is like my dad,
Right.
who loves me unconditionally. and only wants the best for me.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, right? And I think having having children is an amazing portal into that dynamic.
1,000%. I agree. 1,000% with you.
Yeah, it's changed over time, and I think it's important for to have that experience and to allow it to change.
No, you have to. You have to. Everything, every relationship has to grow.
Mhm.
Evolve. Can't be the same.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Anything.
yeah. Which obviously your book is called The Content to Cash Bible.
Yeah.
What was the origin of that? What was the kind of what made you kind of be compelled to write a book?
So going back to when I was when that kid at the college was like, "Hey, you got to read this book called the Bible. All you need to know about the music business." I didn't think that there was anything really for creators, and that's where it's clearly it's not a thick book. It's very easily read. This book, that was the inspiration behind it. What can I give to somebody, right, without me having to say everything, right, and give you some guidance. And once you're done with that, okay, then we can go to the next step. Because this book, I would say the first 6 chapters are very basic, right? It's like the ABCs of content creation. You have the last few chapters where Ash, who was my financial influencer, who I wanted to speak about what you could do once you start making money. I didn't want to speak on that. That's not my forte, right? I'm still learning, and that with guys like him. But the 7th chapter is the last chapter that was actually in the book, which is a good kind of segue from me to Ash. And that chapter is about, business etiquette, punctuality, things that they don't really talk about in this industry because they're so concerned with the money. You know what I mean? It's it's like an athlete, right? Like, it's a low cost of entry to become a content creator, right? Your parents bought you a phone. You didn't buy a phone, right? You shoot a video. It goes. Now all of a sudden things start to happen, but nobody trains you and teaches you. It's like a kid that coming out of high school playing sports and never had money and now has millions of dollars, and what do you do with it, right? And now it's just you've been told your whole life, because of what you do, you went viral, went whatever. But now when the bigger brands and people start looking at you and they look at you as a business, but you don't look at yourself like a business, and you're showing up late. Listen, there's tons of creators out here. I'm trying to have people learn how to become a business, because if you treat yourself like a business, then so will other people. But if you don't, showing up an hour late, 2 hours late, you don't do what you got to do. You're not on the call. You're not on the brief. You're not on the. All right, cool. You're texting Nike, you know what I mean? Or DMing or in an email, yo, what we doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a way to go about that, and there's a time and a place for everything. And like I said, I just felt like that was my fingerprint on this book, because that's what I'm super on time. Like, the Zoom calls, if it's at 10, I'm there at 9:57 for sure. And that's when I log on, because I've probably been there since 9:50.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that, again, to help. That's what that was. And also to help me decipher people that, hey, you really want to do this? And it's not about the sit. Get the book. When you're done, holler at me, because I'm at a point in my life I can't help people from step 1 to 5 anymore. That's 1 to 5, right? 5 to 10, let's go. Now I can get involved, because now there's a business there and I can help take it to the next level. But I've done that part already. I just, my time is too valuable to be in the studio working on a demo tape and picking out beats.
Right.
I use the music side.
Right.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. No, listen, allocation of time, which is, obviously one of, if not the most important tools that we have, right? It's money and time, or the freedom, because both those lead to freedom, right? To me, that's the ultimate form of success. Having the freedom to take your kids to school, having the freedom to pick them up, having the financial freedom to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. That to me is the ultimate form of success, or my definition of it. And realizing that, hey, my time is limited and I need to allocate towards things that have a bigger ROI, and that's not always financial.
Exactly. And it's funny. I had my kids are in sports, and I like to be at their tournaments. If it's out of state, whatever. I like to be at every game, right? I had a dad. I know him for a minute, right? He comes up to me. This is after years later. He's like, "You don't have a job?" Like literally like this. He's like, "You don't have no job? Like, you're always at the game." Like, bro, what you worried about? Bro, I'm here for my kid. Like, it's all good. Maybe 2 weeks later, I pull up. We're at a different place. It's like, yo, like, what do you do? You're here. Oh, you got a fancy car, and just like, what are you worried about? Well, what are you worried about? Why don't you worry about your kid who disrespects you? How about that? Don't worry about what I'm doing,
Right.
because your kid is nuts. You know what I'm saying? Worry about that dude. It's wild. It's just wild how people be.
It's a projection.
Yeah,
It's a projection. Instead of saying like, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like with a different energy, it comes with this aggressive kind of like, fuck you energy, right?
It's on, and it's just like, dude, beat it. Seriously.
Dude, so happy we had a chance to do this. We were talking about it for a little while, and as I said at the beginning, so often I put it out there with people, and sometimes, if it's not within a certain time frame, they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But this is, I don't even know how long, but we've been going back and forth, and I think the timing of it always ends up being exactly how it's supposed to be. So I appreciate you, man. Honestly, the 3 times I've met, it's like every time has been the energy, right? The energy's real. And you can't make that up. And even when you were here the first time, just walking around, picking out the blinds and the curtains, I saw it, and I appreciate it. And that's one of the things that resonates with me the most is when people show up authentically.
Yeah.
And as someone who's 10 years younger than you, I look to you and say, man, that's someone I would love to emulate in my life. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for showing up in the world the way you do, because it does give those younger folks and even older ones who are hating you at the baseball game, it gives them something to aspire to be.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I thank you for the headphones.
Yeah,
John, bro.
different experience.
It's a different, this is kind of crazy.
It's a different vibe.
I might just drive home with these, but I got some headphones.
It's like you get zoned out.
Exactly.
Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No,
and if people want to connect with you, if they want to grab the book, they want to find out more what you're doing, where can they connect?
The best thing is,
I assume social media.
yeah, everything. Yeah, I don't have an IG page. I don't have anything. No, just go to any IG is my most prevalent one, and it's at MYQ Success. I spell it MYQ SUCCESS. That's on all socials, and links are there for the book and everything like that. So I'm there.
Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
This is great.
Later.